Hey there, it's Cam here. I'm making this video because I recently wrote a cover letter for this business writing role at a content marketing agency called Grow and Convert. And the co-founders told me that the cover letter I wrote is what got me the job. So I thought it might be uh, worth sharing about kind of what I did with this cover letter that I thought worked, that seemed to work really well. So, just in terms of my overall process, pretty straightforward, but also I think important is first thing I did was just I read through this business writing role job description really thoroughly and really paid attention to each of the points and the things that noted things that looked important, gauged a little bit about whether or not I actually felt like this was a job that I wanted or that I could do well. So I made sure to read this really thoroughly here. And then, of course, the next thing I did was I checked out the application. As you can see, super simple application, just 3 links to articles you've written. Why are you interested in this role? And what are your 1 to 3 year goals as a freelancer or in your career? So I read the application. And the next thing I did was I wrote a cover letter. And what I did in the cover letter was I did my best to answer these questions and also address this job description as specifically as I could with the experiences that I have. And so just a couple of things worth noting about the overall approach that I think worked well. One is just that the founders told me that I was the only one that actually wrote a cover letter. So most people just filled this application out and sent it through. So I find that a bit funny, but just the actual effort of writing a cover letter at all. So that was one thing. Um, Throughout the cover letter, focused on showing versus telling. And one thing is that I found to be a nice trick was that I used a Google document. And so rather than answering each of these questions inside the application, I just posted the link and said refer to the Google Doc. And what that allowed me to do was I submitted this on a Friday afternoon. And over the weekend, I got to continuously update this Google document and really tailor it and continue to improve it before they were reading it on Monday or Tuesday in the beginning of the week when they were reviewing applications. So while everybody else that applied just put their answers in and submitted it, and that was it, they couldn't go back and read what they had said. They weren't able to change it after that unless they wanted to resubmit. I suppose they could have maybe done that. But anyways, it was nice to be able to continue to update it and refine it, so which I did a lot of over the weekend. So let's see here. And the last thing is just that I formatted the cover letter like a blog post. So literally the job is to write blog posts. And what I did was I formatted it in the way where you see I have these subheadings. I've got, bolded sections, and it's very neat and organized. And I showed them just in my cover letter that I understand formatting and how to make a blog post easy to read through formatting. So, I'll just go through a couple elements of this cover letter that stick out to me as something I think worked well. So one of the things is just that I start out by saying I'm grateful for your time. I like using the word grateful because there's something about saying I'm grateful for your time as opposed to thanks for your time. It just feels like we say thanks all the time. And when you say grateful, something about that word for me just feels a little bit more genuine. And here was kind of my favorite part about the cover letter, and I sort of imagine had an effect on the readers, and it's that I start out by saying, I want to be upfront about my potential shortcomings related to this role, but also give you my case as to why I think you should consider testing the waters with me. So, sort of unintuitive. The people I've kind of shared this with thought that that was like a surprising thing to do, to talk about weaknesses right up front. Now, what I think this did, I think the advantage of doing this are three things. One is this: it's just being real with them. I like to think that people just like real people, and someone that's just going to kind of be honest with you. And I think that's an attractive quality in a job candidate. The second is that I was showing empathy, right? So what I did here was I put myself in the shoes of Benji and Davish, and I was able to see what they would see as professionals, as experts in this digital marketing and content marketing space. I knew and I could tell that they were going to look at my portfolio and see that there were gaps and weaknesses, and that it wasn't probably the best fit as a writer. And they agreed. They told me that, had it not been for this cover letter, like based on my portfolio, they wouldn't have hired me. And I knew that from the beginning because I exercised that empathy muscle, and put myself in their shoes, and I was able to see that. So to show them that I understand and have empathy, I think is another attractive quality in a job candidate. And the last thing is just that it's kind of bold. It's kind of bold to start out by saying, hey, I understand, and here is literally upfront why I can see I'm not the best candidate for this. And then to go ahead and say, but I think you should consider me anyways. So it's a little bit bold. And I think that another thing we tend to be attracted to in our culture is people that are a little bit bold, a little bit courageous. So the next thing that I do is I very specifically address the job description. So come over here, and in the job description, they say, we're looking for a writer who's passionate about interviewing marketers, salespeople, founders, and other stakeholders within an organization about business, tech, and marketing strategy. So what I do, I just said, this is what you're looking for. I almost copy and pasted it. I see you. This is what you're looking for. And then rather than tell them, I'm going to show them why I fit this, did the same thing here. You need someone who can take interviews and turn them into educational business articles that will teach readers how to accomplish something or think about something in a new way. Just exactly what they said they needed. And then show, there's a similar approach I've taken with each of the writing samples below, which are going to show them that the process I was using for a previous client is parallel to the process I would be using with them, right? And then the skills. So if you go over here to the job description, here they bullet point and list all the skills that you need. Clarity of thought, respond intelligently to editing and feedback. So I went through each of these skills, and I tried to show them that all the reasons that I have these skills and the stuff that I have to back it up. The different courses that I've taken to work on these, to develop these. Coming down here to the willingness and eagerness to learn. Just listed out all the online courses I've taken in the last few years, and a lot of them happen to be directly relevant to this job, right? And if I'm come down here and I'm answering, in addition to the cover letter, I'm going through and I'm answering the questions asked in the application. And I on purpose, I talk about some of these things that I value. I use the word respect, trust, long-term sustainable working relationships, things that I thought these these founders would appreciate things that I appreciate myself, and really tried to convey to them my values when it comes to my working relationships, in an honest way. And then I just finish it up down here with sharing the articles which they requested, so the portfolio items. Um, and lastly, wrapped up and actually included some testimonials from people that I've worked with. So, like, rather than a list of references, having actual real quotes from people that you've worked with, talking about what it's like to work with you. So, um, that's it. I just wanted to kind of give a sense of what I thought worked well in here. If it's useful for anyone, um, I hope it was. All right. Thanks.